What's up, family? It is so good to see you. This is the Endangered Species Unapologetically podcast, your neighborhood barbershop that is full of news, politics, and informed conversations. You know how we do in the shop. We are forging a fair and just world by telling our own stories right here. My name is Devon Morris. I'm manning the last chair in the back of the room. So be like my play cousin. Come on in, play some games, talk your ish, and enjoy yourself. We got a chair coming up for you next. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 16. We are marching along. We're continuing. Today's episode is about the Black Panther Party and Black Lives Matter movement. Before we jump in and start talking about any of that stuff at all, everything that we talked about in terms of the election has come true. Trump has fought every step of the way to kind of become president. He's lost the popular vote by over 7 million and the Electoral College by, it's like 306 to 230 something, okay? So he's really, really lost. It's kind of like considered a landslide victory. But he's gone to all kinds of courts, and he's gone all the way to the Supreme Court twice and been denied twice. It even got to the point where this wonderful, great old state of Texas decided to file a lawsuit with 17 attorney generals from other states, Republican states, to kind of dismiss or invalidate the votes of the states that was in question, so like Georgia and Pennsylvania, and then a few other states. They would have been getting rid of over 20 million votes. There was 120 plus, like 27 Republicans that signed on to that. I'm going to take a look at the actual signees again. And I'm telling you right now, we should be going after it. It doesn't make any sense. Even, let's just flip the script. Let's say that if the Democrats were doing this, I would have the same attitude. Because this nation, the person that we vote for should be the one that is elected. The majority should rule in terms of it. That doesn't necessarily happen with the Electoral College, which brings about reasons why we should be challenging the Electoral College. But that's a different problem. And we won't attack that right now. The problem I have with invalidating legitimate votes is just that. We should not be invalidating and taking the voice away from entire states, man, because somebody doesn't want to lose something that they lost. There's no question on that. And so that's where it gets ridiculous. That's where this republic becomes a problem. That's where the democracy becomes a problem. Whatever you want to call this thing that we're involved in, it is a problem when you are supposed to vote and you already don't feel like your vote counts. Then it really doesn't. Well, it votes for the electors, but your vote doesn't directly put in the president. It goes and gets the electors vote for the president, and it goes from there. So you can continually have the minority rule the majority with this electoral college thing. However, everything worked out fine. The person that won the popular vote is the same person that won the electoral college. No issues here. The issue is in the challenging of it. No, I won't say that. You got the right to challenge. Absolutely. You should challenge as much as you decide to till your heart's content. But once Safe Harbor Day happens and is over with, then you should do like everybody else has done. You should go ahead and just kind of let it go. You should go ahead and put other people in the position to be successful. Now, mind you, we are in the midst of a pandemic. And I've heard more in terms of the election from our current president, soon to be former president, than I've heard about the coronavirus. And we got all these vaccines. Matter of fact, the first lady in New York City, well, the first nurse, first person in New York City, black, got vaccinated today. Literally today. That is a big deal. You know, now, maybe they put a black person up there first, but whatever the reason is, there was a vaccination that actually occurred today. That's a good sign. That's a good sign that we're moving toward coming out of this thing. And we probably won't come out of this whole COVID-19 thing truly until the summer. So we got the worst months ahead of us right now. And there is not a peep from the current president, the lame duck president. Not a peep about coronavirus. And I still have people that support that man tell me that it's a hoax. Not that it's not real, but that the impact of the coronavirus is not what's real. Man, I'm looking at people who have lost a parent, lost a loved one, lost a friend, and to them, you can't say it's not real. You can't say it's not real to someone who's gotten sick with the coronavirus. Well, okay, a pandemic, maybe the numbers aren't pandemic X, right? Maybe we should have half the entire population of the planet die before we call it a pandemic. Come on, man. That doesn't make any sense. So the idea that we have the economic times that we have right now, and then we have our commander-in-chief who basically signed the bill for warp speed to kind of get things moving forward. And the military is going to have some problems. The military is going to have some fumbles. Anybody would have some fumbles when we have when you need to vaccinate everybody, right? And so if you think about it, we're in December. We got a few of the worst months ahead of us as people start to get vaccinated. Now, black folks in general, me included. Am I going to be the first one to get vaccinated? Well, I'm not now because I've seen the first one get vaccinated. But I'm not jumping for it immediately. Am I spreading some negativity? I'm not absolutely spreading anything. I'm only concerned based on our past history with medical whatever it is. Now, Obama's going to jump out there and Biden's going to jump out there and, you know, every celebrity that I know of is going to jump out there, right? That kind of supports this direction. So we're going to see this parade of celebrities going out there, and especially when it comes to people or minorities in general, you're going to see people jumping out there, okay? But no peep from the commander-in-chief. I don't care about the election anymore. I care about this coronavirus. However, that being said, today is the day that the Electoral College votes. And so you have states that are voting. You even have some electors that are voting from secret locations because they've been threatened. That is ridiculous. You had the state of, I don't know which state, could have been Michigan, right? One of their Republicans called for violence, right? You know, saying if the electors don't vote for Trump, there's going to be violence. I mean, what kind of threats are that? Is that, right? They had to remove that guy, period, from being able to serve in the office, right? So that, you know, you start thinking about things like this, and it's ridiculous. It's just flat out ridiculous. How are you going to have a civil war against the military? The military has a heck of a lot more guns than almost every single militia that exists in America combined. Come on, man. Okay, forget the number of guns. Think about the big weapons, okay? The big weapons is all you need to be concerned about, okay? The militias don't have the big weapons for sure, okay? They definitely don't have access to the $1 million missiles. They don't have access to the technology that's going to guide that $1 million missile into your basement, okay? I'm not saying they're going to be scared of the government by no stretch of the imagination, but I can say this is not the Civil War where you have roughly equals with roughly the same technology fighting each other. I get it. I understand. people's concern. But to say you're going to go against the United States of America when you don't have the technology to go against them, it's cool. It's definitely cool when America's going to another country. But it ain't cool when you're in America because Americans know America. So that wouldn't make any sense. Anyway, the point is, all that violent stuff is stupid, right? Somebody's going to get really, really hurt really bad. And I saw a governor in Georgia that was really, really uptight. I mean, he was uptight because he was getting threatened. I mean, no. People, well, he's getting threatened, but actually people that he's working with, right? People he's working with is getting threatened, right? People who are going to grab the votes and make sure the votes make it over here so they can do these recounts. Because Georgia did like 3 recounts for real, like 3 of them, right? And so these people are being threatened. And my thought process is, welcome to a little taste of being black. Just a little taste of being black. I mean, it's not like, because you can't, I mean, somebody threaten you is cool, but they threaten you because of your behavior. They're not threatening you because of something that you can't change. I mean, I can't change this right here. I can't change this. You see this, you attack me in some kind of way. So they're getting a taste of what it feels like to have people come at you for no reason whatsoever. It's a smidgen. It's a smidgen. But the idea remains the same. Nobody should be threatening violence whatsoever. Okay? Nobody should be acting in a way where it's not, we don't support the limited things that the Constitution calls for. Now, I'm not going to say the Constitution has been there to help black folks a whole lot, because it ain't been there to help us a whole, well, let's just put it like, it could have been, but the Supreme Court's classically, especially since most of them was racist in the early days of it, well, in most of the days, I'm not going to say the early days, most of the days of the Supreme Court, and maybe there's a few of them still on the board right now, but the idea is that it ain't always been in favor for black folks, okay? So it's very, very concerning that we have these things going on, these things happening. And it would be different if there was legitimate reason. It would be different if the person that you're talking about leading was a great strategist. He's not a great strategist, man. You understand? He's not a great strategist. You know, the truth of the matter is, you can have hope for a businessman being in office. But putting coronavirus to the side, his policies didn't change much. Just didn't. Not economically for the United States of America. And the interesting thing is that this entire world, the entire ecosystem of the planet is built on something really, really important. Trade. 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 Asia Pacific countries in the past week signed an agreement for them to do more trade together. But let's back up, because a while ago I had a conversation with you about England, right? And how the UK, between sugarcane, cotton, opium, tea, basically got the opportunity to rule the world. Now, just think about this, right? They're trading with China, grabbing opium from India, right? Going down to what they call the West Indies, the Caribbean, right? Grabbing stuff there. Coming to America, trading slaves and sugar and cotton and tobacco. So we have this thing that's happening where they have a benefit, and that benefit is trade, period. When you talk about the Silk Road, whether the illegal one or the one way back in the day, right? That's all trade, right? You think about the expansion of the Middle East into Africa. A lot of that is trade, right? When you talk about, you know, some of the richest people that existed in the world, the main reason why they existed or made the money that they made, trade, okay? Trade drives economies. trade drives a lot of things. It definitely drives capitalism. No question. And that's the place that we're in. We're in a capitalistic world in terms of the United States of America. So his policies didn't work out well. Now, again, should he have 4 more years to deal with it? I'd have no problem with it, except the handling of the coronavirus. Right now, about 300,000, I won't say that, 250 to 300,000 people have died. More, the United States have had less people in the majority of the wars of this century, of last century, I should say. For real. Think about that. The number's staggering. So for me, if this was Obama, for example, I would not have voted for Obama if Obama fumbled the coronavirus. No way. No way. Now, even in his own words, the man has said, I didn't want to let the American people really know. So he truly fumbled COVID-19 and still is calling it China virus, which is ridiculous, okay? But if it happened under your watch, it's your problem. And we need to hold you accountable for that. So if Trump had done a very decent job with the coronavirus, he'd still be president. There's no way that Biden would have been able to win. No way. Because Trump lost suburban America. He lost suburban America. And suburban America would have voted for Trump if he had handled the coronavirus better. People have gotten used to his rhetoric. People gotten used to seeing, the journalists not being involved and everything else. People have gotten used to those kind of things. But one of the things that people can't get used to is a lot of people dying. A lot of people dying. So I bring all this stuff up because today is that electoral college, right? And we see our democracy move in a direction, and we see the institution not fall apart even when it's challenged. Now, is it a perfect institution? No. Are there things that need to change? Absolutely yes. But in the system that we're under right now, the system that we're utilizing right now, it's worked as expected. It has worked as expected. A tyrant has been pretty much moved out the way by the will of the American people. And that tyrant has tried everything except crying to change the outcome. Can you imagine what would happen if he actually changed the outcome? This would not be nice. You talking about the real semblance of a war? That would be a problem. Because now you have 7 million people more than his supporters who are not happy about it. I was listening to a Republican today say he's walking away from the party and he's moving toward being an independent. He didn't say he's going as far as being a Democrat, but I don't care whether he's Democrat or Republican. We get roughly the same thing. So he's moving away from the party because of the actions of the party. And one of his final straws was Texas filing the lawsuit, and 100+ Republicans signed along with 17 attorney generals, right? There's something about the democracy that should work, and you should be you should be good enough to lose. You should be okay to lose. If you lose fair and square. But get out the way, like everybody else did, and allow them to do their job moving forward. So this is the times that we're in, but those times, it's just strange times. So I'm happy to see that the institution has not failed, but I do want to see the institution change. I do want to see that institution be more representative of what the country is. And the country is not, should not be ruled by the minority. It should be ruled by the voices of every single person, and that majority should carry weight. I understand that we don't want certain states to be swept under the rug, but their numbers, every person in that state counts as an individual. So now we're looking at all states, we're looking at everybody that's voting, and everybody's vote counts equally. So it just puts us in a different place. Now, I bring that up because I just needed to get it off my chest, because that's kind of where we've been at for the past few weeks. I mean, it's been a steady, broken record. And the record's been so broken that it keeps on doing the same thing. And it's like I can't even unplug it, because every day there's something. I'm not even turning on Fox, MSNBC, CNN. I'm not touching none of them right now, because it's the same story. Same story. I only looked this stuff today because it's the Electoral College, and I saw the thing about the nurse getting the shot. I was like, hey, coronavirus, people are moving forward with stuff. But this is an interesting time right now, people. And I want to call that out to you so you understand. Now, let me present something to you, and I am going to kind of spell this out for you piece by piece before I say what it is. Okay, so I want to move on past that topic of this election. Okay, now listen to this, and this is just part of the story, but I want you to hear these 10 points. What we want now: we want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of our black community. We want full employment for our people. We want an end to the robbery by the capitalists of our black and oppressed communities. We want decent housing, fit for shelter of human beings. We want education for our people that exposes the true nature of this decadent American society. We want education that teaches us our true history and our role in present day society. We want all black men to be exempt from military service. We want an immediate end to police brutality and the murder of black people. We want freedom for all black men held in federal, state, county, and city prisons and jails. We want all black people, when brought to trial, to be tried in a court by a jury of their peer group or people from their black communities as defined by the Constitution of the United States of America. We want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace. What I just spelled out to you, what I just read to you, were the first part of the 10 points program that the Black Panther Party put together. Would I say that some of this stuff is dated? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Would I say that the dated stuff can be just updated? Oh yeah. Would I say there's more to this than that? Would I say I would change this? Yes. But I want you to think about what's being asked for. By no stretch of the imagination is the Black Panther Party saying that we want to rule over others. By no stretch of the imagination are they saying we want to take people who oppressed us and we oppress them. See, if I was to point out the one fear that white America has of the Black Panther Party. It is of a militant organization. There was, well, maybe there was an incident or two, but there was nothing really militant about the Black Panther Party. The truth is, the things that the Black Panther Party was doing was mostly based on trying to have some semblance of self-defense. That's what it was all about. Nothing really more than just that. Now, when I say there were shootouts, there was things that happened, yeah. But the Black Panthers was on the worst receiving end of whatever those things were. They suffered the most. It wasn't like they put a lot of damage out there for others. That didn't happen. Okay? So this 10-point plan is important. And the biggest parallel that exists, we want an immediate end to police brutality and the murder of black people. Jim Crow, the overseer, the officer, right? We want an immediate end to that. That's what we're calling for. That's what we want right now. That's what we're calling out for. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. To not want to be killed or brutalized. You know, I remember my mentor talking about when he first made it to Chicago and how he got pulled over, and he said the situation in Chicago was you either paid them or you was getting your butt kicked. That's the way it was. Squeezing them palms or you're gonna have a bigger problem. So the Black Panther Party. But let's talk about the Black Panther Party a little bit, and then I will talk to you about what I've heard and give you a perspective that probably has been talked about, but not in a major way. Not in a major way. So in 1966, the Black Panther Party was formed by Huey Newton. I always say Huey P. Newton. Okay, and Bobby Seale, to challenge police brutality in the black community. That was the main reason. You know who died prior to that? You know what pushed this to kind of happen? It killed Malcolm X, man. Part of the inspiration, because Seale and Newton knew each other back in 1961. They were in college protesting Pioneer Day and doing different things because they didn't see things was right. They was trying to, in college, make sure that we have true black history happen, and let's make sure we have programs. So they were already trying to make things happen. Then Malcolm X dies. And now the agenda pushes in a very different place. The agenda moves on to something very different. By 1968, the Black Panther Party had over 2,000 members. It started reaching its peak number of involvement, of people involved at that particular point in time. So probably between 68 and maybe 73 is when you see the most people involved. That same year, 1968, unbeknownst to us, COINTELPRO. If you don't know anything about COINTELPRO, I'm sorry. We'll have something on it, okay? But the FBI and COINTELPRO. The thing is really wild, right? I remember back in the day, right? I remember being in college, and I remember the first time I pulled a book up and COINTELPRO was right there. Like, ridiculous. All these things redacted, all these things they're doing, all these things they're saying, because every single organization, especially black ones, was communist and terrorist. Yet, these white nationalists aren't that. In 1968, quote, J. Edgar Hoover, one of the greatest threats to the nation's internal security he said, was the Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party. He said they're like really the biggest threat to anything. He also called Malcolm a threat. He also called Martin a threat. Martin a threat. MLK, right? Martin Luther King Jr. He called Martin a threat, right? Dude, Martin is a threat. How the heck is Martin a threat? They did kill him once he did become a theoretical threat. But the idea, though, is that we're not talking about, and you know, and really was Malcolm a threat? Malcolm wasn't no threat. He didn't have no horses behind him. Especially with all the stuff that he was going through with the Nation of Islam. He did not have any true horses behind him. Yeah, you can move some people. But please understand, the majority of black folks were not supporting Malcolm. The majority of black folks were not supporting Martin. I would like to think that back in the day, I would have been down with Malcolm. I'd like to think that. Would I been? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Okay? But the idea is that most black folks wasn't down with the cause. Okay? At least back during that time. But they weren't these major threats, even though they called him out to be the major threat. But the Black Panther Party, J. Edgar Hoover said, hey man, internal security, man, these guys is a problem. They are a terrorist group and we got an issue. Here's the thing that's so wild, right? In 1969, the Chicago police killed Fred Hampton and Mark Clark, two Black Panthers. In my city, Chicago, they killed them. It was like this is not even debate. They killed them a lot about it, right? They said they were shooting at them. And literally, the family sued, won the lawsuit. Ultimately, only one bullet came from the Black Panthers, from what I remember. Like one bullet, that's it. The other hundreds of bullets were all going into the house while these guys were asleep. What the hell did Fred Hampton do? What did he do, Fred Hampton? What did Fred Hampton do? Nothing. Fred Hampton was the leader of Chicago chapter of the Black Panther Party. That's what he was. The thing that made him great was he was able to organize a lot of community programs. Now, take a step back for a moment, because you think I'm only talking about black programs. And I am not. Because the one thing that Fred Hampton was able to do above anybody else that I know of is he was able to reach across the aisle to other communities and help them establish similar programs. That's what he was able to do. So he was able to work with the Asian communities. He was able to work with other things. But the biggest thing that Fred Hampton was able to do, he was able to reach out to the local Chicago gangs. The local Chicago gangs. And get them to start cleaning up their act. So and then we can do things within our community. This is what Hampton has the power to do. And they killed him. He was able to get large audiences that would grow and keep growing and keep growing and keep growing and keep growing. If I was to say to you, what was the major achievement of the Black Panther Party? If I was to say to you, what would be the thing that had the biggest impact on me? It would be the simple fact that the Black Panthers realized one thing. And it was definitely really established well in Chicago. They realized one thing. that one of the problems that we have with children of color, black kids in our community, is that when they go to school, they can't pay attention. The reason why they can't pay attention is because they're hungry. They're hungry. So they establish a free breakfast program. If there's any legacy that I will want the Black Panthers to be remembered by, is the legacy that my brain was stimulated by the fact that they helped to establish a program that the government has moved forward with, a free lunch or reduced lunch program where they serve like 15 million people a year at this point in time. The Black Panthers did that back in the day. And that definitely was the catalyst for what the government has done. But the impact is this. I'm a kid in Chicago. We don't have a lot of money. We're on welfare. And you know what I do every single day as a kid? I go to school and have breakfast. Now, I'm going to tell you, man, I remember sometimes they would give us this nice donut in Chicago. I loved it too. It was like this donut. It was nice and warm. My cousin said you can go buy them things from, there's a store up in Chicago you buy them from. So I'm going to go buy them and see if I still like them. Sometimes I try the stuff that I had back in the past and it ain't the same. But the thing is, I love that donut. I really did. They would have it on a particular day. And so that right there was a reason for me to get out the house and get to school. That was a meal covered. So realistically, Fred Hampton, at least in Chicago, the impact that he had was part of the reason why my brain was fed. Was part of the reason why I could pay attention in school. Was part of the reason why the majority of folks in my neighborhood, because a lot of us, we just go ahead and we just track on to school together. Man, it could be snow on the ground. If I knew, lots of snow on the ground. If I knew that it was the time they had them donuts, I'd leave 10 minutes early, man, to get there. So I can take my time getting through the snow, because I know it's going to take me a little bit longer, right? So if there's a lasting legacy that I could only thank the Black Panthers for, it would be the free lunch program. It would be that leading toward reduced lunches and free lunches. That's what I would be thankful for. Not the militancy. Not the militancy. It's a known fact that the FBI actually did everything in their power to make the Black Panthers look like if you even go around them, it's going to be a problem. They killed Hampton, right? And then there's a story out there. And the story's been heard in the community, you understand? That they raided the Black Panthers and pissed on the food. The same food that the Black Panthers is trying to get to the community. You understand how ridiculous that is? Come on, man. Come on, man. These guys are doing great things in the community. The fear was that man could organize folks. He could get an audience, a wide audience, and get them to move in a direction. But was he trying to take over America? No. Not at all. Not at all. But that lasting legacy of me being able to go and have breakfast was really, really amazing, because it definitely helped out my grandmother and all in families, man, all in families, my family included it. So I'm grateful for that. So when I think about the Black Panthers, I think about that legacy. Forget them guns, forget throwing the fist up, forget all that stuff, man. Forget all that stuff. The thing that had an impact on me, part of the reason why I'm here today, I'm not saying that if I didn't eat breakfast, I'm not saying I would die. The point I'm making is, part of the reason why I'm here is because they fed my soul. They did. They had an impact. They had a lasting impact. Okay? Now, I believe the last chapter of the Black Panthers kind of shut down in 1977. That was the Seattle chapter. And then ultimately the Black Panther Party was dissolved in like 82. Okay? Like 82. Okay? So when I think about the Black Panther Party, I think I'm in a very loving kind of way. There's nothing really crazy about it. They were there to help not just black folks, but in Chicago. Now I can't say about Oakland. That's where they were Black Panthers all day. Oakland, boom. I get it, understand. The Black Panther movie had things happen in Oakland for that reason, right? Ryan Coogler, great move, right? So here's the deal. All I can tell you though is in Chicago, Hampton was reaching his hand across to other people and having an impact. That impact has been long-standing. Long-standing. So, Black Panthers mean a whole lot to me. But all we hear about, all we see is the gun, the leather jackets, let me just darken everything up about them. That's all we really see presented about them. And when I look at the Black Panthers, I see nothing but love. I see nothing but love. Absolute love and care about the entire community. It wasn't just about only one agenda, police brutality. Okay? It was about the community as a whole. As a whole. Let's talk about something else. Okay? And what I want to talk about is I want to talk about what kind of tears these organizations apart. And classically, it's one of four things, right? Economic issues, comma, social and cultural issues, comma, environmental issues, comma, political issues. That's it. Oh, my extra computer's over here talking to me, so let me close that puppy up. Oh, I'm about to kill it. So let me just put that to the side. Sorry about that. So the idea, though, is these things happen. Now, in terms of these movements, I can't say, I'm going to take environmental and throw it out for a minute, because most organizations will not be impacted by environmental factors. Okay? But the other three are very valid. And when I think about the Black Panther Party, they were impacted by political things and probably socio-cultural things. Economic as well. All three of them had an impact. But the thing that really tore them apart was the political stuff and the political agenda brought forth by the FBI. Chicago attacking them in some kind of way. Just all that kind of stuff had an impact on them. But it was not self-inflicted. I guess it could have been self-inflicted. You started seeing, but the way that was presented in the news was a problem. You had these gun battles that happened. There was some other things. So it could have been social and cultural as well, right? Okay, great. But a lot of what happened with the Black Panther Party was not self-inflicted. Okay? Maybe some. But the truth is the good far outweighed the bad. Okay? I've kind of saved this because I wanted to have a much larger conversation about it. And I'm going to pull this up because I need to. And this was a special website set up by the chapters associated with the Black Lives Matter movement. The title is, It is Time for Accountability. It is time for accountability. I want to kind of go through this thing and really talk about it because unfortunately, BLM may be torn apart by one of those four issues. And it is one of the four issues that classically tears apart a lot of organizations, and it is economic issues. The chapters of BLM have created an open letter asking for there to be more transparency, accountability, and responsibility. They are putting their message out to everybody else in the world to make them aware. This has been out there for a couple weeks at this point, 2-3 weeks. And I've waited because I remember when it came out. I just waited because I wanted to see if anything else bubbled up. And I haven't heard a whole lot. So I said it's about time to have this conversation because now we're a little bit more past this election stuff. But let me talk to you about the very first paragraph here, and I want to read it out to you so you understand. It says, it was recently declared that Patrice Cullors was appointed the executive director to the Black Lives Matter Global Network, BLMGN Foundation. Since then, 2 new Black Lives Matter formations have been announced to the public: a Black Lives Matter Political Action Committee and Black Lives Matter Grassroots. The Black Lives Matter Grassroots was allegedly created to support the organizational needs of chapters separate from the financial functions of the Black Lives Matter Global Network. We, the undersigned chapters, believe that all of these events occurred without democracy and assert that it was without the knowledge of the majority of the Black Lives Matter chapters across the country and world. This right here is a bomb, people. It is a signal. It is a huge signal. Because if this letter is true, and I am going to assume it's true because I love Black Lives Matter Chicago. I'm going to assume it's true. So, one of the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement, Patrice Cullors, and there's 2 others, right, has basically done a power grab. Now, if you go to Black Lives Matter website, you see a big button that says donate. And there's been millions of dollars donated to the Black Lives Matter movement. But do you realize that those chapters that exist get no financial support whatsoever? Maybe they get a little bit. I'm not in their financials. But most of those signs, most of those shirts, most of the everything, the transportations, I just bought like the outfits that bikers wear. People classically call them kits. I bought like $700 worth of kits, right? So, and then I could support the NAACP's Legal Defense Fund, so they can help get folks that's associated with Black Lives Matter out of jail. Why am I doing that if you are getting money donated to you? And that money is not being seen by the local chapters. The chapters are saying here, we don't get financial support. They're asking for transparency in terms of finances, economic issues. They're asking for transparency. The letter goes on to say, we became chapters of Black Lives Matter as a radical Black organizers embracing a collective vision for Black people engaging in the protracted struggle for our lives against police terrorism, with a willingness to do hard work that it put us at risk. We expected that the central organizing entity most recently referred to as the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, will support us chapters in our efforts to build communally. Since the establishment of Black Lives Matter Global Network, our chapters have consistently raised concerns about financial transparency, decision-making, and accountability. Despite years of effort, no acceptable internal process of accountability has ever been produced by Black Lives Matter Global Network, and these recent events have undermined the efforts of chapters seeking to democratize its processes and resources. Mic drop right there. Now, mic drop right there. Because this Patrice Cullors is the sole board member. Hell. It is going to be likely that the government is going to go in and have their way to figure out where this money is going. When that day comes, we got a problem, BLM. We have a huge problem. If that money is not going to help the chapters at all, we're talking about grassroots organizing that's been occurring. We're talking about people going to jail and those funds aren't helping. We're talking about those funds aren't being used to put together signs. Man, they be out there with huge signs that look really fancy. I mean, it'd be nice signs, man. All those signs are not handwritten. Like, some of those signs are printed with graphic. For real. And you talking about the higher level organization is not kicking out something? I mean, I understand that there's probably no membership dues, anything like that, right? So you got to get money from someplace. But they are getting millions upon millions of dollars in donations. Let me not say millions upon millions. Let me just say they got $1 million. Okay? And the question that I would throw out there is, why is there not some level of transparency? If this is for black folks and this is to help against police brutality, why don't we have some level of transparency? Why can't these chapters see the transparency? I am a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I'm a member. I'm a Q all day. But here's the problem. I can't imagine being a Q and not having access to the financial records. I mean, you just go to one of my chapter meetings, right? Just go to one of my chapter meetings. If the dollars are off by a little bit, somebody is having a fit. Somebody's having a fit. Those financial records need to be in order, and we have transparency into what the chapter's doing, and we have transparency into what the district's doing. We have transparency in what the national organization is doing. We have that transparency. Why don't BLM have that transparency? I'm telling you right now, I'm in complete support of these chapters getting the transparency that they need. This next little paragraph says, in the spirit of transparency, accountability, and responsibility to our community, we believe public accountability has become necessary. As a contribution to our collective liberation, we must make clear. And then they provide several points that they got to make clear on. And, I'm not going to read all those points. I want you to go figure those points out. This is at blmchapterstatement.com, blmchapterstatement.com. The last paragraph says, we remain committed to collectively building an organization of BLM chapters that is democratic, accountable, and functions in a way that is designed with our ideological values and commitment to liberation. We will move forward with transparency and expound on our collective efforts to seek transparency and organizational unity in a fuller statement in the near future. And we collectively determine next steps We encourage our supporters to donate directly to chapters who represent the front line of Black Lives Matter. Wow. Understand, the reason why I brought that last statement up is simple. They just basically said, go around the global organization, go around the global network, and donate to the local chapter. If you want to support the movement, don't just say to yourself, let's go ahead and give to the website that exists, because that's going to the network. Go ahead and find the local chapter like BLM Chicago and give money there. Like BLM San Diego, like BLM Philly, like BLM Indy, like BLM Pick a City. For real. They're saying go around the national organization and give money directly to the chapter, because that's going to help the chapter move forward, which means the chapter is not getting any money from the national organization, which is ridiculous because they have no idea what the organization is bringing in. Now, in that letter, it did talk about how there was a scholarship or something like that. The chapters could apply for it. It's about $500,000 that became available at some point in time, right? So I did see that as well. We got a problem here. We have a problem here. And it's an interesting problem because the Black Lives Matter movement has had a huge impact. They have a very narrow focus. I would agree. It is super narrow, and I can never. It's hard for me to jump on board with such a narrow focus, right? When I look at the 10-point program of the Black Panthers, I'm down. I'm good with that. But only police brutality or vigilantes that's messing with black folks, I understand the mission, have no problem with the mission, but that's part of the problem, right? I am concerned about the organization moving forward. Because if what they're saying is true, and I believe that what they're saying is true, then we have a much larger issue, BLM. We have a much larger issue. And it's going to be a problem if the IRS comes after you. It's going to be a huge problem. I'm not calling for that. I'm not saying that's what should happen. But I am concerned when I see this open letter. And I didn't want to have a conversation about it, but I felt like I couldn't step away from it. So for the Black Panthers, outsiders kind of ripped it apart. I don't want to see BLM ripped apart because of internal issues. I don't want to see that happen. Okay, people. We have done well today. We're going to cut it off at that particular point. I'm going to say to you, I appreciate your time as usual. Hopefully you got some value out of this, but please go look up the Black Panther Party. Go look up what they've done. Go look up the programs associated with the Black Panther Party. Go look up BLM, support a local chapter. Did you hear me? Support a local chapter. On that note, I'm going to say thank you for taking time with me. I always enjoy spending time with you. I will see you next go round. Enjoy your week. Hopefully it gets you started in the right way. I'll see you soon. Thanks for visiting the shop. You know there's absolutely no me without you. But before you walk out that door, make sure you visit us at Endangered Species Unapologetically.com. You will find ways to stay connected with us. Take a look at our show notes, other episodes, bonus material, as well as that merchandise that you know Hustle Man got over there in the corner. When you're ready to break those chains, we got some stuff there for you to make your life better. However, as the old folks would say, be safe out there, young blood. See you next week.